in a small Texas town until one morning.
What is your emergency?
Yeah, somebody's dead.
She shot this man dead, called 911, and sat down to finish breakfast. In her paranoid world of conspiracy, delusion, and fear, her innocent landlord became a murderous monster.
Evidently, Jack Ferris was a professional assassin who hired on to CIA during the Kennedy years.
Is she a criminal or the innocent victim of a mind-crippling disease? A true story of madness and murder.
It happened here.
Here we go, Bucking Shoe
In Round Rock, Texas, in a place famous for its rodeo and chicken fried steak. It happened in a neighborhood called Fern Bluff, in a community known for its covered dish suppers and Easter egg hunts. It happened here, at the breakfast table. It was a June morning that was already sweltering by 7. Jack Ferris, a retired motel owner, was at the breakfast table, sipping hot tea, reading the Austin American Statesman, alone. But not for long.
She went to the opposite side of the table where he was sitting, and she took the gun, picked it up, and pointed it. She hit him right in the chest, over the heart. He never knew what hit him.
The killer placed the .38 Special on the kitchen table next to a bag of cookies she had baked for her victim the day before and calmly called the authorities.
Williamson County 911, what is your emergency?
Yeah, somebody's dead.
And who is it that's expired? Jack Harris?
The killer left Jack bleeding to finish her coffee and wait for the police.
She was very calm. She was relaxed. She was in the back seat. I asked her if she wanted to talk to me about what had occurred. She said she had Alzheimer's and that Mr. Ferris was responsible for her having Alzheimer's. And she decided that morning that she needed to kill him before she left in order to protect her family.
Jack's girlfriend rushed to his side.
They wouldn't tell us what happened or how he was, but I knew he had to be dead because the paramedics were in the ambulance, instead of being with him.
You have the right to remain silent and not make any statement at all. Any statement you make may be...
On June 12, 1997, Jack Ferris's roommate, a librarian, a graduate student, a mother named Diana Dial, was arrested and charged with his murder.
I think she had the most original and unusual opening sentence to a confession that I've ever seen or heard. She said, "I have been seriously harassed, kidnapped, drugged, and attacked since I first told my friends when I was 7 years old that I was the heir to the estate of Howard Hughes." The best opening sentence to a confession I've ever seen. And you very quickly come to understand that this is a different case.
A different case because Diana Dial is mentally ill. Hers is a bizarre world of conspiracies and poison, where assassins, even presidents, want her dead. But her disease, which can lead to random, often deadly violence, is more common than you think. Diana Dial has paranoid schizophrenia.
Evidently, Jack Ferris was a professional assassin who hired on to CIA during the Kennedy years, and he goes out and kills people for George Mitchell and President Clinton.
Wilbur Jackson Ferris, age 52, retired early after owning a string of motels out west. He had a passion for travel and ballroom dancing. For extra income, he invested in the stock market and rented out rooms in his home, one of them to Diana Dial.
Diana seemed to be nice. She was always busy. She seemed very smart. She was always studying weird things.
Like what?
Like she was learning hieroglyphics.
Diana Dial, age 47, had moved to Austin in 1995 to attend the University of Texas Graduate School of Library Science. She worked on campus as a night reference librarian.
After I got my divorce, I had to do something constructive. I had been at the phone company in computer science and library. After my husband had introduced me to all these books over the years, it was a natural thing for me to want to do.
Diana Dial had left behind her husband and 2 teenage sons in Albuquerque, New Mexico. But the problems she had hoped to leave behind came with her.
I'd been here a week. I didn't even have a chance to get to know the place. And I've got all this hate coming in.
It is a brain disorder. It's not caused by hard knocks growing up, and it's not caused by bad mothering. It's caused, quite simply, by a broken brain.
Dr. Javier Amador studies schizophrenia at Columbia University. He consulted on the Unabomber defense and at Court TV's request reviewed the case of Diana Dial.
We have circuits in our brain that are essential for our ability to separate fact from fiction. In schizophrenia, those circuits are often disrupted. The brain areas that help us to understand what's real and what's not real aren't working.
Jack Ferris said he had done the bombing in Oklahoma City. I reported them for blowing up the space shuttle. They knew that the O-rings wouldn't take that kind of cold, and they told them to launch anyway.
Patricia Cummings will defend Diana Dial. She believes her client's only hope of avoiding prison is to mount an insanity defense.
In short, Texas law tells us what the insanity defense is it's something that's raised, of course, by the defendant, and it's saying that due to a severe mental disease or defect, at the time of the offense, the defendant did not know what they were doing was wrong.
That means a confessed killer could legally get away with murder, and that bothers Williamson County Prosecutor John Bradley.
She killed a human being who was completely innocent of having done anything other than give her a place in his home. And the victim is entitled to have the system respect his life.
Diana Dial insists the killing was justified. She says her landlord was an assassin with the House of Esau, an ancient terrorist group that targets law-abiding Christians like herself. What's real about Diana Dial's story? What's a delusion? Is she sick? Or is she a sinner who fabricated an intricate lie to dodge the law? Will Diana Dial get away with murder?
Wednesday on an all-new Psychic Detectives.
The door busts open. There's a man there.
She hears their cries.
He's gonna shoot my husband.
She feels their fears.
I feel the pain they feel.
But can her psychic intuition
This man planned it.
see their killers?
You've got to go back and check the alibis of these 2 men.
On an all-new Psychic Detectives.
The odds of doing that, unbelievable.
Wednesday at 9:30, right here on Court TV, the investigation channel.
What happened?
He's been bitten by a snake.
Was it brown? Zigzaggy lines?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it bad? You. Suck out the poison while I start a fire to cauterize the wound.
Clint, let's go. We're shooting the big attack scene.
Oh, hey, Pete.
Wait. You're not a real cowboy?
No. But I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night.
Stay smart. Stay at a Holiday Inn Express.
Watching the tournament this year? Grab a beer that tastes great. Watching every single game? Grab a beer that has 1/3 less carbs and fewer calories than Coors Light. Great taste, less filling, Miller Lite. Good call.
And cash or credit? Hey, Bank One.
I'm just really into whales.
I love fish sticks.
Find the card that fits you best.
Oh, she's so cute. That's you right there. Yeah, look
Bank One. Individual answers.
I'd love to buy you breakfast.
Nice try. I know about the free rebate.
Okay.
The Swanson Great Starts rebate lets you try delicious scrambled eggs and bacon for free.
So 8-ish?
No-ish.
How you doing?
With all this bending,
My back. My doctor said take Advil. It's strong.
Doctors recommend the medicine in Advil most for back pain. Advil starts working fast, gentle on your stomach, too. For back pain relief, advance to Advil Relief.
Over 8 million drivers feel really good riding with Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
The public usually hears about schizophrenia when someone afflicted with the disease kills. The Unabomber, the man accused of shooting 2 guards in the U.S. Capitol, the loner charged with pushing a stranger to her death in the New York City subway, Diana Dial.
There is no question when you're dealing with an insanity defense case that state of mind is the issue. And in Diana Dial's case, what that meant is you had to go way back in her past to understand in her mind how she got to the point that she was at when she pulled the trigger.
Years before Diana Dial killed her landlord, there was a good life for a girl named Joyce.
I grew up, there's 4 of us, and I was in Girl Scouts for 10 years, first class Girl Scout. So we were always gardening and raising chickens and cats and stuff like that. I had a wonderful life growing up.
Born in 1950 in Los Angeles, Diana Joyce Skidmore was by all accounts a good-natured little girl, the eldest child of a policeman and a homemaker. She was a daughter to be proud of, a competitive swimmer, a pianist, and so smart.
We're very moral, very responsible. I never used drugs, never slept around. You know, everything was really the way it was supposed to be. And I can't imagine a more moral or responsible family than, or friends, that anybody could have than I had.
At 23, Joyce married her high school sweetheart, George Gallo.
We really had a wonderful time. I mean, we could discuss everything and we went everywhere and we really had a lot of fun.
We did a lot of camping, a lot of bicycling. Almost every day we'd bicycle when she got home from work. You know, visited her parents a lot, and her brothers and sisters. Just very normal, you know, active life.
In 1981, Joyce gave birth to Keith. 17 months later, she had John.
My house was considered Disneyland. The kids loved to come over. They never got hurt. Nobody ever, you know, did anything. They always had nutritious snacks, and it was a lot of fun. I love raising kids.
But the young mother had no clue that a time bomb was ticking inside her brain. Then one night in 1983, when her son John was just 4 months old, the bomb exploded.
All the lights were on, and she was out of the bed. She turned every light in the house on, and she was very agitated. I mean, very fearful, like somebody might be trying to break in or something like that.
He came after me like he was stalking me. It was like an Alfred Hitchcock movie. And so I went over to the corner and I had a knife and I said, "Leave me alone, stay away from me."
You know, they took her to the crisis center that night, and then they, fairly early in the morning, at 4 or 5 in the morning, the doctor called and said, okay, she'd had an acute psychotic break.
Joyce Gallo, then 33, was hospitalized. Her doctors suspected manic depression or bipolar disorder. It would be years before she was diagnosed with schizophrenia. And no one really knows what triggers the disease.
Sometimes when women give birth or even miscarry, they can also develop psychosis.
The mother of 2 was prescribed lithium, an antidepressant, and an antipsychotic. Joyce took the potent cocktail for 5 years.
I would say the illness was under control, although it was still there. I mean, she would still say things that were about the neighbors or whatever, things that were clearly not true. But she didn't really act out on these delusions as much.
But like 50% of the 2.7 million Americans with schizophrenia, Diana Dial stopped taking her medicine. She didn't think she was sick, and it knocked her out.
Well, I was trying to raise my kids. And, you know, I would sleep and the kids would be running around and I couldn't take care of them. And that's all it is. It's an attempt to make sure you do nothing.
When somebody with schizophrenia says they're not ill and they don't want to take their medication, most people think they're either being stubborn or they're just in denial. You know, who wants to admit that they have a mental illness, right? But in fact, the research is showing that this is another symptom of the brain disorder.
Her husband says that off medication, Joyce's mental condition spiraled out of control.
The one that stands out in my own mind is when she went to the children's classes and right in front of, just walked into the classes and announced to the whole class and the teacher and the kids that her sons had to, I think in one case it was, they had to wear a little bracelet and jingle it because the Germans had never given up on World War II and they were producing some sort of a noise that would make you go deaf or something.
And then, 8 years after the breakdown, Joyce Gallo vanished.
And I came home from work and I said, "Where's Mom?" And the kids said, we don't know. And didn't hear from her that night. I think it was 3 nights later, I got a call from a hospital in Denver.
She went to Colorado because she said she got a message that I think it had something to do with then President Bush was going to be assassinated or something.
Joyce eventually returned to Albuquerque, but by then, her husband had reached the end of his rope.
My oldest son had already independently decided, Mom is just kooky. I just can't believe what she says. She's just kooky. But my younger son really did believe her, I think. I think he believed that she worked for the CIA and all these sorts of things. So I think he had a harder time with it. It was harder for him. I can remember him asking me, why didn't you tell me that she was ill?
In January 1992, George Gallo filed for divorce and full custody of Keith, 10, and John, 8.
The Joyce that I married and the Joyce of today are two different people. And when I'm speaking with them, sometimes I can see a little bit of the other person come out, but they're just totally different people in terms of their outlook on lives, and the way that she looks physically is different, the way she acts is different.
After the divorce, Joyce changed her name to Diana Dial, an order, she said, from the CIA. She left Albuquerque to escape her enemies, if necessary, to stop them herself.
It's a crime of mental terrorism.
The phenomenon of stalkers.
He was going to try to invade Steven Spielberg's home.
What motivates their campaigns of fear?
They're seeking that notoriety.
Reasonable Fear on the System. Premieres Thursday at 10 on Court TV.
I guess some cars are just natural-born followers. Got no motivation, no drive. But this car has a different vibe. It's all about forward progress, maximum momentum, 16-valve power, 6 on the floor. Just to give it a destination and go where the vibe takes you. The 2004 Vibe GT. The new Power Pontiac. That's fuel for the soul.
Get the hottest selling car in its class. Visit your Pontiac dealer.
During your period, sitting for a long time, then standing up can cause surprise leaks and odor. That's why you need stand-up protection from Always Ultra Thin Super. It's got a unique leak guard core designed to help neutralize odor and quickly pull fluid deep into the middle of the pad to protect better than the next leading brand's regular Ultra. For confident stand-up protection, Always. Look for the new easy-to-shop window packaging from Always.
It was the weekend, and I had a toothache. I couldn't see my dentist till Monday. Glad I found Oragel.
Pain pills take up to 30 minutes to work, but maximum strength Oragel works instantly at the site of pain.
Sure works fast.
Go instantly to relief with Oragel.
Has your overweight dog lost a step or two? With new Pedigree Weight Loss, all other diets are history. With the most protein of any dry dog food, it's designed to help dogs safely lose 10% of their body weight and get them back up to speed. New Pedigree Weight Loss and weight maintenance to help keep the weight off. 2 simple steps to a healthy dog.
With Dulcolax laxative, you can relax. It works gently enough for sensitive stomachs, yet provides complete relief. More doctors recommend Dulcolax than any other overnight laxative. Relax. Trust Dulcolax for overnight relief guaranteed.
When you get nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, even diarrhea. Hey, there's Pepto-Bismol. Nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Yay, Pepto-Bismol!
Nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Yay, Pepto-Bismol!
Nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Yay, Pepto-Bismol!
Now you know, Pepto treats 5 different stomach problems. You see, pink does more than you think.
Four years before she murdered Jack Ferris, Diana Dial wandered the country, surviving on alimony checks and odd jobs. She says she went wherever the CIA sent her, first to Billings, Montana, then back to New Mexico.
She would reach the point in each one of those communities where she would realize that she couldn't stay there and pretend to be this educated, wonderful person anymore, and so she'd move on.
Sometime in 1994, Dial came to North Monmouth, Maine, a rural outpost 20 miles from the nearest grocery store, a forgotten mill town 2,400 miles from her closest relative.
At the time that she was wandering, it was already a chronic illness. It's what we would call chronic schizophrenia, even at that point. But what was happening in her case was because she wasn't getting treated, the illness was worsening.
Diana Dial functioned normally by all outward appearances. She worked 2 jobs and bought this house. In August 1994, wrote to her father, "The place needs work, but I like it. I'm going to get a dog, and I'm going to have chickens and blueberries."
Monmouth Public Safety, may I help you?
But it wasn't long before local officials realized something was wrong. The town manager says Diana Dial called the police 12 times during the next 6 months.
The calls were that there were strange noises, scratching on her roof, people in her house, people around her house trying to get into the house and get at her.
I think the best example to help people understand what a delusion is like is when you're dreaming. When you dream and you're running in a dream, let's say, from somebody who's chasing you, it's real.
September 6, 1994, President Clinton appears to be following me personally. Senator Mitchell admitted to having me followed.
Delusions that the government is trying to hurt you, or that you have some special mission to help the government, or that God has spoken to you, or that Satan has, taken you under his wing and wants you to do something for him, very common.
One of the people that she was focusing in on was a woman from Winthrop named Cheryl.
Cheryl worked with Diana Dial here at the University of Maine Library.
She was chasing me around the library with an ice pick, trying to poke at my ear. The woman is weird.
You see this friend, someone you have a relationship with, and the paranoia is there, and you can't help but wonder and think, maybe she's one of them.
Dial's fixation on Cheryl grew.
Because of Cheryl's interference in my personal life, I never even get phone calls. I don't hear from my parents, my children. I have no friends, much less men in my life.
She had developed a reputation in the community for being kind of nutty.
Diana Dial had been fired from the sporting goods store where she worked for talking crazy to the customers. But before she left Maine, she purchased a gun, the gun that would kill Jack Ferris. In the spring of 1995, 2 years before the murder, Diana Dial moved to Austin to study library science at the University of Texas. "Dear Mom and Dad, I'm in graduate school. It's interesting. Hope I do okay." Dial did more than okay. Despite her serious mental illness, she excelled in school.
Diana Dial was very bright, according to her medical records. Her IQ tests were high. Ted Kaczynski very, very bright. The illness is an equal opportunity disease.
During the second year of her master's program, Dial moved again, this time to the suburban town of Round Rock.
This is middle America. This is your neighborhood where you have children playing. It's middle class. People mow their lawns. Everybody knows who everybody is.
The cheapest, cleanest room Diana Dial could find was in someone else's home. For $250 a month, she rented an upstairs bedroom from Jack Ferris.
She seemed to be well liked by Jack Ferris and Lena Ward. They recognized that she was quirky. I mean, she spent a lot of time writing things.
In fact, during the 18 months Diana Dial lived with Jack Ferris, she wrote hundreds of letters to state, local, and federal authorities. Dear Governor Bush, I suspect there may be some hidden crime in town. I'm picking up signs of organized crime in the library system.
In schizophrenia, you see what we technically call hypergraphia. It means just what it sounds like, this obsessive writing.
By May of 1997, Diana Dial was gripped by a new obsession, her landlord, Jack Ferris. From a computer entry entitled The List, Dial wrote, Jack Ferris poisons Christians with liquid gold, a poison he mixes up on the stove. 10 days before the murder, Diana Dial filed a complaint against Jack Ferris here at the Round Rock Police Department. According to the report, Diana stated that her roommates had given her a drug that causes Alzheimer's.
Can I help you, ma'am? You just have extreme pain at the top of your head. It affects your vision. You just see all kinds of black spots. Your hearing is upset. It's very, very obvious that you're dying.
From the report, I asked Diana if she wanted to hurt herself or anybody else 3 times. Diana stated no all 3 times.
Somebody with paranoid schizophrenia is often treated like a hot potato. You take them. We have a word for it in medicine. We refer to turfing somebody, sending them elsewhere. And in her case, I think she probably was turfed a few times.
It was just days before the murder when the police referred Diana Dial to the Texas Mental Health Department from its evaluation. Diana Dial is fearful of her roommates, who she says are part of the group that plays the Chinese war game, Go.
Diana was hollering and screaming to everybody, saying, look, this is what's going on. This is how threatened I am. This is how threatened our society is. If we don't do something, a disaster's going to occur.
The report continued. She has an unloaded handgun at home, but made no threats of self-harm or danger to others.
As a group, people with schizophrenia are not more violent, but that half of the group of people with this illness who don't take their medication are significantly more violent, from 4 to 6 times more likely to be violent than the average person.
Released client due to lack of risk factors. Client refused mental health services offered.
They were aware of her delusion. They were aware that she had a gun. If she was not specifically threatening to do anything, their hands were probably tied. Now, should they ethically, morally have warned her roommates? I would argue absolutely.
But no one warned Jack Ferris that danger was lurking just down the hall.
It's a crime of mental terrorism.
The phenomenon of stalkers.
He was going to try to invade Steven Spielberg's home.
What motivates their campaigns of fear?
They're seeking that notoriety.
Reasonable Fear on the System. Premieres Thursday at 10 on Court TV.
The Subaru all-wheel drive-away, starring Subaru Forester, the best small SUV ever crash tested. 1.9 APR for 63 months. Subaru WRX, 0 to 60 in 5.4 seconds. 750 cash back or 1.9 APR. And Subaru Outback, all-wheel drive ruggedness and car-like ride. Up to $1,500 cash back or 1.9 APR. Get the best deals ever at the Subaru all-wheel drive-away, now through March 31st.
Kids drink Ovaltine with milk for its rich chocolate taste, but why do adults?
Ovaltine's chock-filled with 17 vitamins and minerals. Nesquik powder doesn't come close.
Whatever your age, there are great nutritional reasons to drink rich chocolate Ovaltine.
More Ovaltine, please.
Just take the green grass and the blue from the sky up above. And if you color my world, just paint it with your love. Just color my world.
Donley is the heart of Ohio. Hi, this is Scott Donley. Wherever you live in Central Ohio, there's a Donley dealership close by. Donley in Ashland, Donley in Gallion, Donley in Mount Vernon, and now Donley in Delaware. 4 locations for you to buy a new Ford, Lincoln, or Mercury. 4 times the vehicles and always the best price only at Donley's. There's also a huge selection of pre-owned vehicles, plus award-winning service departments to keep your vehicle running like new. Stop today for the best selection, the best price, the best service right here in the heart of Ohio. Donley, Ford, Lincoln, Mercury in Ashland, Gallion, Mount Vernon, and now Delaware.
Need up to $500 cash before your next paycheck? Bob needed $500 for his daughter's birthday present. Kathy needed money for car repairs. Introducing the Fast Cash Preferred Card. Get up to $500 in about an hour without going to a loan store. A payday advance helped pay for Brian's new braces. And a payday advance helped Vicki make a mortgage payment on time. Request your free Fast Cash Preferred Card today. No loan stores, no hassles.
On the morning of the murder, Diana Dial was up early, packing. We know from her diary she was moving back to Albuquerque to be with her boys because she thought she was dying of Alzheimer's. At 6:30 a.m., she left the house to rent a van. But U-Haul was closed, so Diana returned home.
She was real close to getting in her car and leaving. I mean, the car was out front. It was packed. She could have taken her key and gotten in, started up, and driven away, and New Mexico could have had our problem. But instead, she went upstairs and got her gun and shot him. And I guess the trial was about why she changed her mind.
Solemnly swear the
I
testimony.
came back. I went in, made myself a cup of tea. Jack came into the kitchen and slammed me up against a counter. And he had already poisoned me one morning, the first thing when I got up. He threatened to blow me up with nitroglycerin one morning, the first time when I got up. And here he was. All I was trying to do was move out of the house, and here he was being violent against me that morning. The message went to my sympathetic nervous system, and my sympathetic nervous system said, I've had enough. Kill this guy.
Diana Dial walked to the kitchen, aimed her Smith & Wesson at Jack Ferris's heart, and fired. The blast blew him off his chair. As he gasped for air, Dial fired again, but missed. Jack Ferris died moments later. John Bradley seeks justice for Jack Ferris's murder. He begins by introducing a damning trove of evidence: Jack's bloody shirt, Diana's gun, trigger lock, and the folder where she concealed the weapon until the moment she cocked it and fired.
She was capable of doing all those things. She was capable of remembering that she had done those things. She was capable of explaining that those things were done. And when someone has that much memory and has that ability to explain it, saying you didn't know it was wrong because of a mental disease is going to be hard to swallow.
But to convict Dial, John Bradley must persuade the jury she knew right from wrong.
Anyone who spent more than 5 minutes with Diana Dial can very quickly see that she is not mentally disabled when it comes to being able to speak, understand, and discuss moral issues.
Bradley portrays the defendant as intelligent, high-functioning. He cites her job at the library, her meticulously balanced checkbook, her term papers that tried to prove the existence of God.
Diana Dial, throughout the course of the trial, showed herself able to manipulate some of the system.
Bradley says Dial lied on the stand when for the first time she told her attorney, Patricia Cummings, that Jack Ferris had assaulted her before she shot him.
You did not tell anyone about being slammed against a wall until you told that to Patricia Cummings. Is that a true statement?
That's true.
Now, this happened June 12, 1997. So would it be safe to say from July, August, September, October, November, and the beginning of December, you've managed to keep that a secret?
Your Honor, I'm going to object. This has been asked and answered.
She had spoken to her lawyer, to her psychologist, to our psychiatrist, to Captain Bunty, and had generated mounds of paper of things that she had written from the jail describing the offense, none of which even mentioned that Jack Farris had ever done any act of violence toward her. And I think that very clearly showed to the jury that not only did Diana Dial have some appreciation for how her act was wrong, she developed an appreciation for the self-defense theory to the point where she recognized she needed to create a fact that supported it. Does the fact that someone have a mental illness prevent them from being able to lie?
Not at all.
Dr. Richard Coons was hired by the prosecution to evaluate Diana Dial. Inside her cramped jail cell, Dr. Coons tried to determine whether Dial's mental illness prevented her from knowing that killing Jack Farris was wrong.
You said that I had a choice of spending a year or two with my kids, or just shooting him and spending the rest of my time here. She said, I wasn't planning to do this. All of a sudden, I realized I was furious. I figured he should get it the same way he gave it to other people.
Well, would it meet the definition of insanity if she made that choice because she was angry?
No.
Captain Linda Bunty interrogated Dial at the scene of the crime.
I asked her what she thought would happen when she pulled the trigger. She said she knew that it was going to kill him, that he would be dead, that he'd be buried 6 feet under. She knew that God would be mad at her, and that she would probably go to prison and may possibly even be executed for it, but she had to do it.
Did she ever tell you whether or not she thought that shooting and killing Jack Farris was wrong?
She told me that she knew it was wrong because it wasn't God's will to kill another person.
The issue is not, does this person generally know that committing this crime is wrong, but do they know at the moment they commit it that what they're doing is wrong?
But can the defense convince the jury that when Dial pulled the trigger, she thought she was killing an assassin and therefore justified?
On the next NYPD Blue.
Do you know an Amelia Duncan?
Your number one bang on the side.
You think I tried to murder my wife?
Shannon's got 2 women downstairs. Both of them say they're married to you, Jesse.
Whoa.
Do you see what's under my glass?
Are you crazy?
Someone said we're divorced?
When did you get married?
6 months ago.
Either come clean now or I wash my hands of it. You could lose your shield and everything else.
My only crime is a weakness for what a woman has between her legs.
Well, that's a big club. NYPD Blue, coming up next on Court TV.
I am thinking what you are thinking. Ooh, you know that it's true. Yeah, I am smiling and everybody's smiling. Ooh, about the things that you do. Alright. She is thinking it, he is thinking it. We're all thinking about you.
Your old toilet brush is so full of germs, it's becoming a nightmare. Introducing the new flushable brush, the cleaner way to clean from scrubbing bubbles. Just click on the pad and clean. The concentrated scrubbing bubbles cleaner activates when wet. Then just flush the pad and the mess away. The pad breaks up in water and it's septic tank safe. Say goodbye to germy brushes. Get the new flushable brush from Scrubbing Bubbles and flush the mess away. S.C. Johnson, a family company.
Doggy, ain't it about time to change that Glade plug-ins refill?
Don't forget to refill your Glade plug-ins. The new refill's fresh and even better.
Plug it in, plug it in.
Mommy, can you refill that Glade plug-in, please?
Don't forget to refill your Glade plug-ins, because the new refill's fresh and even better.
Plug it in, plug it in.
Watching the tournament this year? Grab a beer that tastes great.
Watching every single game? Grab a beer that has 1/3 less carbs and fewer calories than Coors Light. Great taste, less filling, Miller Lite. Good call.
I'd love to buy you breakfast.
Nice try. I know about the free rebate.
Okay.
The Swanson Great Starts rebate lets you try delicious scrambled eggs and bacon for free.
So 8-ish?
No-ish.
How you doing?
My son's old allergy medicine left him feeling tired. Then I discovered Dimetapp non-drowsy allergy with 24-hour relief in one quick dissolving tablet. So I get to see those green eyes again.
Dimetapp non-drowsy allergy.
Why do Hot Pockets brand breakfasts take only a minute to make? Because the average teenager has only a minute and a half to get ready. Hot Pockets breakfast. 3 delicious flavors, now with even more meat.
Hot Pockets!
A new day. And what better way to start it than with one of your favorite breakfasts? The original and best.
Surprise! New Kellogg's Corn Flakes with real banana cereal. The corn flakes you love. Now with pieces of sweet, ripe bananas right in the box. You'll go bananas.
March 1981. President Ronald Reagan is shot by a lone gunman named John Hinckley. June 1982. Hinckley, a paranoid schizophrenic, is found not guilty by reason of insanity. The Hinckley verdict would affect a Texas case 15 years later, the case of Diana Dial.
I think so many people got really bothered and upset at the idea that people could commit criminal acts and use the insanity defense to escape criminal responsibility.
Texas responded by revising its laws governing insanity pleas.
Public backlash. The legislature has worked very hard to tighten up the screws on the insanity defense test, so that way it's very, very difficult to prove. I think it's very rare.
Patricia Cummings must prove to the jury that Diana Dial's strange delusions about Jack Ferris were so real to her that they kept her from knowing that killing him was wrong. Cummings has an added burden. Dial threatens to fire her because she disagrees with the insanity defense.
She told me she was perfectly well mentally, and that anybody who ever said anything opposite of that, they were crazy and part of the conspiracy.
Why did you shoot Jack Ferris on June 12th?
Because he wasn't stopping attacking me. He destroyed my computer the other day. He made it so that it was inoperable. The day before, Lena Ward had quit her job to watch me and keep an eye on me. I mean, the attacks were daily, and they were continuing, and they were getting closer and closer together.
I believe that at the moment she pulled that trigger, she felt like she didn't have any choice. And as a result, in her mind at that moment, it was the only thing she could do, therefore it wasn't wrong.
The Bible specifically says God hates hands that shed innocent blood. It doesn't say God hates people who defend their home and family. It doesn't say God hates people who are trying to ensure the safety of others. It says God hates people who just go out and kill somebody for no reason. And so I do not believe that what I did was morally wrong according to the Bible.
Thou shalt not kill. Apparently Diana Dial believes in that commandment. And then what did she do? She went and killed. But let me ask anybody to tell me if they felt that their children were going to be killed and they killed the person. Would they feel that they did something wrong?
Psychiatrists practice all kinds of acts of devil worship. They're into mind control, into Ouija boards, into crystal balls, fortune telling. They're not what you think of when you think of professional doctors.
Will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, sir, I do.
It is ironic that a psychologist is now a key witness in her defense.
Do you think she knew her conduct was wrong at the time she pulled the trigger?
I do not believe that she did.
And why is that?
And she saw herself backed up against the wall, unprotected by societal authorities and law enforcement, being victimized by a wretched group of people who drew the line nowhere and felt like she had to act.
She has said in letter and phone calls she had to do it, that to protect her family. She felt that her family, even us, her parents, were in danger, were in physical danger.
Dial's mother describes how firmly her daughter believes that the conspiracies and assassination attempts are true.
Did you ever do anything with Diana about your concerns and the problems she was experiencing?
More times than I can tell you, especially when she went to Colorado in a blizzard, and no person in their right mind would have been out on the road. And at that time, I begged her to seek help.
Or what kind of response did you get from her?
No, Mom, there is nothing wrong with me. And I said, can't you see? Everyone, your family, everyone knows there's something wrong, Joyce. She said, you can't prove it. You can't show me that there's something wrong. If you can show me, then I'll believe it. Like you could show her a broken arm on an x-ray, but you can't show her a broken mind.
The defendant will rise.
The verdict when we return.
How well does new Oust bathroom air sanitizer work?
Very easy. Oh, it's almost too easy. Only thing you have to do is press it twice, and the air is clean.
New Oust bathroom air sanitizer kills your airborne odor-causing bacteria.
Takes away the odors, you forget all about them. You don't have the bacteria brewing and lurking in the air. Eliminated. You're gone. It is amazing that something so small can do so much.
New Oust bathroom air sanitizer. S.C. Johnson, a family company.
Ugh, my feet ache.
They don't smell so great either.
Only Odor Eaters Plus Arch Support insoles have new Sorbitex technology to absorb sweat and destroy odor on contact. Revives tired feet.
Give foot ache and odor the boot with Odor Eaters Plus.
Having a kid with allergies is hard. Giving them their medicine is even harder. New Children's Benadryl Allergy Fast Melt. No spills, no mess. Effective relief in a quick dissolving tablet. New Benadryl Fast Melt. Allergy relief just got easier to take.
You never know when you'll need allergy medicine. That's why there's Alivert. Alivert starts dissolving the instant it touches your tongue, without water. It's prescription strength non-drowsy relief. Even Claritin can't beat. Alivert, right when you need it, wherever you are.
KFC's new secret recipe filet, 100% chicken breast, no skin, no bones, but all 11 herbs and spices. Now with 2 sides and a biscuit for just $4.99. For the taste of Kentucky Fried Chicken, no bones about it. You got a KFC what's cooking.
natural beauty, the rich heritage, the tranquil vistas. You can experience it all in North Carolina. Start planning your North Carolina getaway today. Call this toll-free number now for your free North Carolina travel guide.
Discover the land of waterfalls.
I just want a little solitude, a little time to myself.
The kids wanted a vacation with one-of-a-kind adventures. A little culture would be nice. Call the toll-free number for a free travel planner.
I'm in debt way over my head, but I don't know where to turn.
I'm really scared, but I'm even more confused. So I end up doing nothing. Your fears are well-founded. There are millions just like us who don't know where to go or who to trust. That's why a professional debt management organization has published Debt Free for Good. And they're making it available free to people like us.
Don't work with anyone until you've read Debt Free for Good. It's free, so call 800-419-9575 now.
If Diana Dial, based on her delusions, believed there was a man named Timothy McVeigh that was going to drive his truck to Oklahoma on June 12, 1997, and basically do an act of war against the United States of America, and if she realized, boy, the only way I can save these lives is to kill that person, and then later she did, and we discover that indeed the facts that she acted on were true, Diana Dial would be a hero.
Please stop this with a verdict of guilty before we have any more of that.
It's a very humbling experience when you're in a murder trial and you have somebody's life and freedom right there in your hands. It's very sobering.
12 jurors will decide Diana Dial's fate. Among them, an airline pilot, a retired school teacher, and a golf club salesman.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will retire to the jury room and reach a verdict. We will send them...
To reach a verdict, all 12 jurors must agree Diana Dial is either guilty, not guilty, or not guilty by reason of insanity.
We took a straw vote, and if I remember correctly, it was 9-3 at that point for guilty.
Among the 5 of you who we have here, what was your first vote?
Guilty.
Not guilty.
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 Not guilty.
The jury orders pizza and settles in for a long night.
I wrestled with the problem of whether or not she really understood at that quote-unquote moment of time, whether or not she actually knew what she was doing was wrong.
As the hours pass, Patricia Cummings grows increasingly worried.
The way our law is set up is I think a lot of jurors are going to think that if they find somebody not guilty by reason of insanity, I think they think that that defendant may walk out of the courtroom with them.
By law, juries are not to consider a defendant's punishment, just their guilt or innocence of the crime. But common sense tells them that a guilty verdict results in a prison sentence. Not guilty sets the prisoner free. What the jury doesn't know is what happens if they vote not guilty by reason of insanity.
What that means is she gets help, and she gets treated, and she gets committed to a mental hospital.
But there'd been some confusion on this earlier in the trial.
Dr. Coons testified to the fact that if she were to go into prison, she could get care because there were mental health professionals there. And in fact, he went as far as to say that was the only way she would ever get treatment, as if she went to prison where the mental health professionals could take care of her. That absolutely was a misstatement of fact, because the law tells us that if somebody's found not guilty by reason of insanity, they're actually committed to a mental hospital.
Generally, people who go to prison with these disorders do not get treatment. They only get treatment if they ask for it. And we're talking about people who don't know they're ill. They're not going to ask for it.
Nearly 6 hours pass, and then, just before midnight, a verdict.
Verdict of the jury. We, the jury, find the defendant, Diana Dial, guilty of the offense of murder as alleged in the indictment.
At some point, I decided that, well, maybe she would, maybe this would be a way of her getting some kind of treatment. Maybe if she were confined.
The defendant will rise.
The next day, Diana Dial is sentenced to 60 years in prison. She will be eligible for parole when she is 77 years old.
I just think morally we have an obligation to help people that are mentally ill. And I don't think our obligation is fulfilled when we say to Diana Dial, we're holding you criminally responsible and we're going to lock you up for the rest of your life. I don't think that makes society a better place. And I don't think that it makes our society a safer place.
The criminal justice system can't be the solution for everything, but sometimes as a final solution, it has to do what it has to do to keep us safe.
Diana Dial was sent to Gatesville, a maximum security women's prison that once held death row inmate Carla Faye Tucker. Dial pushes a laundry cart and hopes to work in the prison library someday.
Do you regret shooting him?
No. I could not live with myself if he had gone on and killed another 20 people. That would be morally wrong on my part.
An official at the Texas Department of Criminal Justice confirmed that Diana Dial is receiving no medication or psychiatric counseling. What if Lucille Bixler had known that before?
Well, I would have changed my vote because she needed help. She needs help. She needs help.
If that had happened, Diana Dial would have been given a new trial. Diana Dial's ex-husband is dating again, watching his sons grow into men. He says there's a lesson to be found in the case.
Mental illness is still sort of kept in the closet for many people. It's such a difficult disease to deal with, and it's embarrassing for many people to have it in the family and so forth. And I don't have any magic words of advice, but it's an illness. It's like a cancer or a diabetes.
John Bradley regrets no one warned Jack Ferris.
I don't think we have learned much from this, and I think we should have. I would much rather have had that phone call made and we never had this interview. And Jack Ferris could be enjoying his life.
Dr. Amador wants stricter commitment laws.
Which is that we can't turn our backs on people with schizophrenia who don't think they're ill. Under some mistaken notion that we're protecting their civil liberties, we need to help them get treatment. And in some cases, more often than we do today, when they refuse, force them.
But there may be some hope for Diana Dial. A defense attorney named Alex Calhoun has taken over her case. He says he will appeal it to the Texas Supreme Court and beyond, if necessary, in an effort to overturn her conviction.
The jury was misled with regard to the results of what would happen if they found Miss Dial innocent or by reason of insanity.
There is so much more hope today than there ever was for people with schizophrenia to lead normal lives or close to normal lives and to not fall through the cracks. We have new medications that are more and more precise in their effect on the chemical messengers of the brain that are dysfunctional.
Whether Diana Dial will ever get these new drugs is anybody's guess. For now, she writes her letters, 1, sometimes 2 a day, and she's found her own small sliver of peace.
The guards are very nice. The people are very nice. You get clean clothes, you get your food. You don't have a lot of money coming in. You can't buy a lot of extras. But as far as the environment, it's safe. I'm not being threatened. I'm not being terrorized all the time. Everything's fine.
NYPD Blue.
Shannon's got 2 women downstairs. Both of them say they're married to you, Jesse.
Whoa.
Do you see what's under my blouse?
Are you crazy?
Either come clean now or I wash my hands of it. You could lose your shield and everything else.
NYPD Blue, coming up next on Court TV.